Good morning, students. Today we are discuss about a solid state. We are mostly surrounded by solids in our daily lives. We are using solid materials. Then, according to your previous class and the previous year, we studied about liquids and gases. You know how the liquids and gases are behaves and their characters. And today here we mainly discuss about solid state. You know very well about the importance of solids here. Solids have many applications in day and day to life, and also the properties of solids depends upon two factors here. One is their structure, and other one is the nature of binding forces which are operating between them. Based on here their properties, they have wide applications in our daily life. Then in our daily life here, solid materials are used as semiconductors, diodes, and so many applications like polymers here, like that here. Solid materials especially used in technology like semiconductor diodes, it is, and advanced electromagnetic materials, and packaging materials like polymers, and in case of surgery we are using bio complements here, bio complements it is. These are the main importance of solids. Then the existence of matter here, in nature the matter exists in three physical states. One is solid state, solids, or one is called liquid, and also it is gas. Then what is the difference between solids and liquids and gases? And you know very well about solids. Solids have definite shape and definite volume, and liquids have a definite this is volume but not definite shape, and in case of gases neither definite shape nor definite volume. Then in this chapter we are mainly studied about it is a solid state here. According to solid state here we are mainly important characteristics of solids. We are studying about general characteristics of solids, crystalline solids and amorphous solids, and distinguish between crystalline and amorphous solids here. Then first you come across this is general characteristics of solids. And before going to general characteristics of solids here, we know very well about the existence of matter in the solid state depends upon two factors. One is intermolecular forces of attraction, other one is thermal energy. Intermolecular force of attraction and thermal energy, these two are opposing forces. Then what is the function of intermolecular force of attraction? Other one is thermal energy. Intermolecular force of attraction tends to keep the particles close one another. Nothing but if intermolecular force of attraction increases here, the molecules or constant particles comes close one another, and the intermolecular force of attraction tends to keep the particles close one another. Intermolecular forces tends to keep the particles close one another. This is intermolecular force of attraction in case of solids. Here molecules are very close one another. Then what about here thermal energy here? By increasing thermal energy here tends to keep the particles away each other. As thermal energy increases here, the particles are moving away each other, like that. These particles are moving away each other. This is. If you are comparing the intermolecular force of attraction thermal energy in a different that is a solid state, liquid and gaseous state here, this is called as solids, this is liquid here, and this is gas. If you are moving here solid state to gaseous state here, the thermal energy goes on increases. When the thermal energy increases here, then the distance between the molecules goes on increases. If you are moving, that is gaseous state to solid state here, intermolecular force of attraction goes on increases. Here intermolecular forces of attraction, intermolecular force of attraction increases from gaseous state to liquid state to solid state. And solids have the greater intermolecular force of attraction when compared to liquids and gases. And if you are comparing, this is thermal energy here. The thermal energy keeps the particles away each other. As thermal energy increases here, the particles moves away each other. Like that here, the highest thermal energy present in the gaseous state when compared to solid state. Due to here the greater intermolecular force of attraction in solids here, solid materials have definite shape and definite volume, and also they have it is a definite mass. Solids have definite mass and definite shape and definite volume it is. Then these are the two main forces responsible for the existence of matter in a solid, liquid and gaseous state at room temperature and at pressure. These are the two forces. One is intermolecular force of attraction, other one is thermal energy. As intermolecular force of attraction increases here, then the material here material converted into gaseous state to liquid state to solid state. As thermal energy increases here, then these substances are converted into solid state to liquid state to gaseous state. That's why these two are the opposing forces here, and which are responsible for existence of matter in different physical states of matter. Then after that you come across it is what are the characteristics of solids. Here solids have different characteristics. The first one is solids have definite shape and definite volume. Solids have definite mass, shape and also volume. Second thing here, this is when you saw in case of solid materials, this is solid material. Here in solid materials, particles are close on another. When particles are close one another here, then here intermolecular distances are short, very short it is. Here molecule to molecule distance is very short it is. And third one it is here intermolecular forces of attraction. Intermolecular forces of attraction, high, this is. And fourth one here, in the solid materials here, these particles, constant particles are occupies in a fixed position. That is, the constant particles, the constituent particles, constant particles can occupy fixed positions and can oscillate at their mean position. Hence solids, due to this property here, the solids are rigid. Rigid materials it is. And here fifth one is here, they are incompressible and rigid. These materials, they are incompressible and rigid. For example, this is solid material here, and this is a solid material. This solid material is highly incompressible. It is not compressed. Since the particles are already that is very close one another, due to particles are very close one another here, they are incompressible and also it is a rigid materials it is. These are the characteristics of solids. Solids have definite mass, shape and volume, and intermolecular distances are very short here. Here molecule to molecule distance is very short here, where it is a molecule or atom or any ion, nothing. Intermolecular forces of attraction is very high here in case of solids when compared to liquids and gases. And in case of solids, the constituent particles can occupy fixed positions and can oscillate at their mean positions. That's why solids are rigid and solids are incompressible and rigid. These are the characteristics of solids. Then here solids are two types. One is amorphous solids or one is crystalline solids. And what are amorphous solids and what are crystalline solids? See the difference between amorphous and crystalline solids. Based on the type of arrangement of particles which are present in a material or in a crystal, here the solids are classified into these two types, amorphous solids and crystalline solids. Then what is the difference between amorphous and crystalline solids? Based on the arrangement of constant particles in a material, here solids are classified into two types, crystalline or one is amorphous solids. In any material, if the particles have long range order of arrangement like this, if particles are arranged in a long range arrangement here in a definite order, here those crystals are said to be crystalline solids. This is our crystalline solids. Then what about in case of amorphous solids? Amorphous solids have here short range order. They have short range order. Crystalline solids have long range order. Here the order of arrangement of particles are long range order. Here particles are short range order. Like that, here only few particles are arranged like this. This is short range order. Due to short range order, here these are amorphous solids. This is amorphous solids. Then for example, here you come across so many examples in daily life, that is crystalline solids, amorphous solids. In crystalline solids, here sodium chloride is a crystalline solid, potassium nitrate is a crystalline solid, and benzoic acid is called crystalline solid here. And also it is potassium chloride crystalline solid, diamond is a crystalline solid, and graphite is a crystalline solid, aluminum nitride is a crystalline solid here. There are so many examples for crystalline solids. Then what are amorphous solids here? In amorphous solids we come across one is amorphous silicon, that is called amorphous quartz. Amorphous silica. Amorphous is nothing but a quartz. Amorphous quartz. This is amorphous form. It is. Then the powder form of quartz, amorphous form of quartz is called as this is amorphous material here. And also you come across many, that is glass. Glass is called as amorphous substance, and also polymers. The polymer materials are also called this is amorphous, and polyurethane here, polyurethane material also called as amorphous materials. Glass, this is glass polymers and also amorphous quartz here. These are example for amorphous solids. Sodium chloride, potassium nitrate, potassium chloride, graphite, diamond, aluminum nitrate, benzoic acid, salicylic acid, these are called as crystalline solids. These are that is the difference, that is crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Then what are the difference between here? What are the difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids? This is, and amorphous solids have wide applications in day-to-day life. Here we are using most of the polymers. The polymers are called as amorphous in nature, and these polymers are used in the packaging of materials here. And also here the amorphous form of silicon, which are used in the photovoltaic cell. It converts light energy into electrical energy here. This is the main importance of amorphous silicon. Amorphous silicon is example for amorphous solids. And amorphous solids have wide applications in day-to-day life. It is. Then what is the difference between distinguish between crystalline and amorphous solids? This is the most important one here. Is then how do you distinguish what is the difference between, that is, crystalline solids and amorphous solids? Then come across this crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Differences. Crystalline, this is called as amorphous solids. What are the differences it is? The first difference here, that is, in the crystalline amorphous solids, the first one here, crystalline solids have here a regular arrangement of particles. That is, they have a regular arrangement of particles. regular arrangement regular arrangement of particles in a crystalline substance. The crystalline substance have a regular arrangement of particles. Here an irregular shape it is. This is a irregular shape. Here amorphous solids have irregular shape like this. This is the shape of this is material. This is a irregular shape like polymers and I think like this it is. But in case of crystalline solids here, crystalline solids have a definite shape that is called as an orderly arrangement of particles. Due to orderly arrangement of particles here, they have a regular shape. Simply it is called as it has a regular shape. It has a regular shape here, or a definite geometrical shape, also called as definite geometrical shape. It has a definite geometrical shape and it has irregular shape. This is a definite geometrical shape or regular shape. Then second one here, this is we are comparing crystalline amorphous solids here. Second one, crystalline solids have here long range order. They have long range order. But in case of amorphous solids here, they have short range order. And third one here, this is crystalline solids are called as true solids. They are called true solids. And here this is third one. And amorphous solids also called as pseudo solids. Pseudo solids are also called as supercooled liquids. Yes, supercooled liquids. And fourth one here, this one, crystalline solids have definite heat of fusion. They have definite heat of fusion. Crystalline solids have definite heat of fusion here, and they melt at a wide range of temperature. These they do not have definite heat of fusion. And the fifth one here, this is during cleavage here, and these crystalline solids are cleaved with a definite planes here. That is, these crystalline solids are cleaved with a plane. It is. And here these materials here these materials are cleaved with a definite plane here. That is, here they are cleaved. They are not cleaved with a definite plane. It is with a definite plane like this. These are some of the difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. And the crystalline solids have a definite geometrical shape, and amorphous solids have irregular shape. And the crystalline solids are called long range order, and amorphous solids have short range order. And crystalline solids are called true solids here. Amorphous solids are called pseudo solids, are also supercooled liquids. And here crystalline solids have definite heat of fusion here. They melt at a particular temperature here. And here amorphous solids they do not have a definite heat of fusion here. Then they have the sixth one here. They melt at a particular temperature, definite temperature. Crystalline solids here melt at a particular temperature. They melt at a particular temperature. Melt it is. And these materials here, that is amorphous solids, melt at a wide range of temperature. Here amorphous solids are melts. They have wide range of temperature for melting here, and these melt at a particular temperature here. These are some of the difference between the most difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Then come to this one. This is about difference between crystalline and amorphous solids here. This is one of the most important difference asking in examinations here. Write the difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids here. It is. These are the important points, so we must write this during examinations. And crystalline solids have definite geometrical shape, irregular shape here. They have long range order, they have short range order. These are called true solids here, and these are called pseudo solids or supercooled liquids, and they have definite heat of fusion here. They do not have definite heat of fusion. And during cleavage here, these cleaved with a definite planes here, and they are not cleaved with a definite planes here. They cleaved with a different forms like that it is, and they melt at a particular temperature here, but they melt at a wide range of temperatures. These are some of the difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. After this here, we come across types of crystalline solids. We have different types of crystalline solids we come across here in a day-to-day life. That is, different crystalline solids have different types of crystalline solids. One is the types of crystalline solids. Types of crystalline solids. First one, that is molecular solids. Molecular solids. And the second one here you come across ionic solids. And ionic solids, this is. And the third one you come across, this is metallic solids. And fourth one, this is covalent solids. Based on the type of force of attraction which are present in a constituent particles, based on the nature of force of attraction present in a constituent particles, here the crystalline solids classified into 4 categories. One is molecular solids, and second one is ionic solids, and third one is metallic solids, and fourth one covalent solids. Then what are the difference here? It is molecular solids. In molecular solids here, molecules are the constant particles. Here molecules are the constant particles. Again here the molecular solids are 3 types. Here you have 3 types of molecular solids. See one by one, here it is. One is non-polar molecular solids. Non-polar molecular solids. This is polar molecular solids. This is hydrogen bonded molecular solids. These are the 3 types of different types of molecular solids. Here this is 1, 2, 3 like this. Non-polar molecular solids. In a non-molecular polar solids, here constant particles are atoms or non-polar molecules. What are atoms here? For example, here argon is called atom, helium is called atom here, argon, helium. And what are non-polar molecules? Non-polar molecules like H2 non-polar, Cl2 non-polar, CCl4 non-polar. These are called as non-polar molecules. Here argon, helium, nothing but noble gases. Here they are called as exist in form of monoatomic nature. Thus these are called as atoms. That's why in a non-polar molecular solids, here solids may contain atoms or non-polar molecules. Then if these are non-polar molecules or these are monoatomic gases, here these are held by here dispersion forces or London forces. These substances are held by here. This is if you take argon or helium or H2, Cl2, CCl4, the different materials here, and these materials here at room temperature, mostly these materials are to room temperature exist as gases, but at low temperature they exist in form of solids. At this temperature here, at low temperature here or high temperature, these molecules are held by dispersion forces or London forces. That's why here due to their low, that is boiling point here, the low melting point, these materials are exist as gases at room temperature, and also these materials are very soft materials, and also here they are bad conductors of heat and electricity, that is bad conductors of electricity. This is about non-polar molecular solids. In non-polar molecular solids, you come across examples like argon, helium, H2, Cl2, CCl4. These are called as non-polar molecules here, and these molecules are held by here London forces. This is the weakest force present among molecules or atoms. London forces or dispersion forces. Dispersion force or London force. Then, what about the second category here? This is a second type of polar molecular solids. In polar molecular solids, the molecules are held by this is dipole-dipole interactions. Dipole-dipole interactions. For example, here the molecules like HCl and SO2, here ammonia, here these solid HCl, solid SO2, solid ammonia, these molecules are held together by dipole-dipole interactions. And these molecules possess polar covalent bonds. Here they contain the polar covalent bond. Due to polar covalent bond, here these molecules have dipole-dipole interactions. And when compared to this is non-polar molecular solids, here these molecules have when compared to this one, here they have it is a high boiling point and a high melting point it is. Because dipole-dipole interaction is a greater force attraction compared to London force of attractions here. That's why these molecules possess a high boiling point when compared to in case of non-polar molecular solids. And these are also called as soft materials, and they are also insulators. They act as insulators and soft materials. Then third one, this is called as hydrogen bonded molecular solids. The best example for this one is ice, nothing but water exists in form of ice. And in water molecule here, in the solid state here, ice contains hydrogen bonds here. That's why this is a best example for hydrogen bonded solid here. And these materials have this held by hydrogen bonds, like this is a hydrogen bond. This is H2O here. This is a delta minus, this is delta plus, and this the positive charge of hydrogen atom here held together by neighboring oxygen atom here. This is a delta minus and delta plus. This bond is called as hydrogen bond here. In case of ice, these molecules are held together by hydrogen bonds here. This type of molecules are called as hydrogen bonded molecular solids. These are the three different types of molecular solids. One is non-polar molecular solids, other one is polar molecular solids, and these molecules are polar in nature. For example, this is H and this is Cl. This is called a covalent bond here. It is a delta minus, this is delta plus. This bond is called as a polar covalent bond. Due to polar covalent bond here, and these molecule experiences dipole-dipole interactions. That's why here these molecules are held together by dipole-dipole interactions. Whether you take HCl or SO2 or ammonia here, these molecules are held together by dipole-dipole interactions. Then the next category is called ionic solids. In ionic solids here, the constant particles are cations and anions. The best example is sodium chloride. The sodium chloride crystal possesses here is two ions, Na plus ion and Cl minus ions. And these ionic solids are held together by electrostatic force of attractions. This is electrostatic force of attraction. Electrostatic force of attractions. Then this electrostatic force of attraction also called as Coulombic forces. Coulombic forces of attractions. Coulombic force of attraction or electrostatic force of attractions. Due to Coulombic force or electrostatic force of attraction here, and these materials, substances or materials are bad conductors at solid state. In the solid state here, these materials are called that is insulators. They act as insulators. They are bad conductors. Since here there is no free ions are available to conduct electricity here, that's why they act as insulators. But when these substances are dissolved in a suitable solvent like water here, then this ionic bond breaks here, then it possesses free ions, and these free ions carries current from one place to another place. That's why they become good conductors in solution state. In a solution state, ionic solids are good conductors here, but in a solid state, these are called as insulators due to non-availability of cations and anions. Both in aqueous solution state, or molten state here, they have free ions. That's why in a molten state aqueous solution here, these are good conductors of heat and electricity here. And due to the electrostatic force of attraction here, these materials possess high melting point. It is. they have high melting point, and also they are rigid. They are very rigid materials. It is hard and good conductors in a molten state. Then what about in case of metallic solids? In metallic solids, here you come across metals. You come across metals like iron, copper, zinc here, and this is silver, gold here. These are called different types of metals here. And metals, nothing but the metals possess metallic bond. And what is metallic bonding? Here it is metals possess metallic bond. Metallic bond means here in metals here the positive ions of metals, this is the positive ions of metals are held together by, this is the positive ions. The positive ions of metals also called as metal kernels, and the metal kernels of these elements are held together by electrostatic force of attractions. This is called as metallic bond. It is. And these in case of metals here, all metals possess free electrons. Free electrons means they are called as mobile electrons. Mobile electrons are also called as free electrons. And these free electrons can move from one place to another place here by applying heat or by applying electric currents. And if you are applying external voltage or external thermal energy here, and these mobile electrons carries a current from one place to another place, and also it carries thermal energy from one place to another place due to presence of free electrons or mobile electrons. And these materials are hard. Here, and also depending upon the nature of material here, if you take a sodium or potassium, lithium, or if it's cesium, here they are soft in nature. And the D block metals like this is iron, copper, this is are very hard in nature here. It depends upon the nature of the material and structure of the material, and also the number of valence electrons present per atom. It is like that here, and these are the different characters here, that is decides whether the metal is hard or soft nature. Due to here, most of the metals are hard materials here, and they are also good conductors of heat and electricity. This is about this is metallic solids. In metallic solids, the constant particles are occupied by these metal ions, and metal ions surrounded by mobile electrons or sea of electrons, and these electrons carries current from one place to another place, and they are good conductors of heat and electricity here due to presence of mobile electrons or free electrons. Then what about here covalent solids? In covalent solids here, covalent solids also called crystalline solids. Here molecular solids, ionic solids, metallic solids, covalent solids, these are called as crystalline solids. In the covalent solids here, the constant particles are atoms. Molecules are called as molecules are constant particles here. The constant particles are called as atoms here. They are held together by covalent bonds. Here covalent solids means what? Covalent bonds. Here in case of if you think this is a material here, this is like this. This is a material of solid material here. This is, and if you take like this is cube, here it is, and here it possesses the corners here. This is called as 8 corners are there, and the 8 corners are called as 8 lattice points. Here it is 8 lattice points of cube here, and here lattice points are occupied by, here lattice sides or lattice points are occupied by atoms, and these atoms are held together by, here the bond is called as a covalent bond. This bond is called as covalent bonds. It is, and those type of solids are called as covalent solids. The best example for covalent solids is, one is diamond. Diamond is also covalent solid. Other one is called as graphite. Graphite is called as covalent solids. Other one is called as silica. Silica is called as covalent solid. Silica means SiO2. Here quartz. This is called as quartz. Quartz is nothing but silica. Here this is also called as covalent solid. And also here aluminum nitride. Aluminum nitride is a covalent solid here. And also here this is one more thing, carborundum, that is SiC. This is silicon carbide. Carborundum, this is carborundum or silicon carbide. Here this is called as covalent solids. Diamond, graphite, here silica, that is quartz, and aluminum nitride, and this is the carborundum, here silicon carbide. These are called as different examples for covalent solids. In covalent solids here, the constant particles are called as atoms, and which are held together by covalent bonds. Okay, these are the four different types of that is crystalline solids. In the molecular solids, the constant particles or molecules which are held together by different types of forces based on whether the molecule is non-polar molecule or polar molecule or hydrogen bond molecule. Here in the molecular solids we come across three types sub-molecules like non-polar molecular solids, polar molecular solids, and hydrogen bonded solids. In case of non-polar molecular solids, here the constant particles are atoms or non-polar molecules, and they are held together by London forces, addition forces. Due to this is a weak London force, addition force, these molecules have weak dispersion force or London force. They have low melting point and soft nature. And polar molecular solids nothing but here these molecules in these molecules here the constant particles are polar molecules like HCl, SO2 and ammonia, and these molecules are held together by dipole-dipole interactions, and due to polar nature here these molecules possess a little higher boiling point when compared to in case of non-polar molecular solids. In case of hydrogen bond solids here, and in this type of solids here the best example is ice here, and these molecules are held together by hydrogen bonds here. This type of molecular solids are called as hydrogen bond molecular solids, and this is they possess a very soft nature, they possess a low melting point. Then in case of ionic solids here, in ionic solids constant particles are cations and anions here, and these cations and anions are held together by electrostatic force of attraction or Coulombic force of attraction. And in a solid state here these ionic solids do not have free ions, that's why they act as insulators here, but in aqueous solution state here they have free ions. In aqueous solution or molten state they act as good conductors. Due to electrostatic force of attraction these solids are hard and also brittle in nature, In case of metallic solids here, the metallic solids are held together by metal ions. The metal ions surrounded by sea of electrons, and those electrons are called as mobile electrons, and these mobile electrons are responsible for carrying current from one place to another place. And these materials are hard and good kinds of electricity, and due to metallic bonding here these metals are used in good conductors of electricity here, and also here these materials are malleable and ductile. Malleable nothing but metals are contained into thin sheets here, and also here they are ductile in nature. Ductile means drawing into wires, and also here due to presence of these free electrons here, then they reflect light here, that's why they shows luster property. Luster means shining property, it is luster in nature. Metals are malleable, metals are ductile, and metals are luster in nature. They act as good conductors of heat and electricity from one place to another place due to free electrons. Then here covalent solids. In covalent solids are very hard materials. These are very hard materials and bad conductors of electricity here. These are bad conductors of electricity and very hard materials in nature. And hard nature of covalent solids are mainly due to their three-dimensional network structure in their solids. Example, diamond, graphite, silicon carbide here, aluminum nitride, silica, quartz. These are example for covalent solids. Among these covalent solids here, graphite, diamond has a tetrahedral nature, but graphite has a hexagonal structure. Due to hexagonal structure here, graphite has one free electron. Due to one of the free electron here, this graphite is called as a good conductor of heat and electricity. This is a good conductor of electricity here, graphite, but diamond is called as bad conductors. That is the difference between a graphite and diamond. You already studied in the first PUC about structure of diamond, structure of graphite here, and diamond has a tetrahedral structure and graphite has a hexagonal layer structure here. Due to hexagonal layer structure, it has one free electron. That free electron carries current from one place to another place. That's why graphite is a smooth nature, but diamond is very hard nature. This is a classification of solids into different types it is. Okay. These are the important classification of crystalline solids: molecular solids, ionic solids, metallic solids, and their properties. Okay. Thank you.